Hey, what's up, guys? It's Art Book Addiction here, and we're here with a new artist journey video. So today we're going to be talking about enjoyment, okay, or enjoyment of your work, right? To be more precise, um, you know, enjoyment of your work is very, very important, right? There's a lot of people who really don't like their work, and for me, that's like I kind of understand, but at the same time, like I really don't understand, right? For me, it's like, if you don't enjoy your work, then like why do it, right? But there's a lot of insecurity or other things like that, kind of like maybe stopping you from fully enjoying your work, right? Maybe you have some preconceived notions of how your work should be instead of what it is, right? So that's what we'll be talking about today, right? And how to deal with that. Before we start the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my prints and Patreon. And with that, let's get into this. So, I think honestly, right, if you don't enjoy your work, right, and it has nothing to do with like your skill level, or like maybe you're just like tired of your own work or something. I think I wouldn't say it's a good time to stop, but maybe you should like take a break or something, right? Just take a little bit of a break, or if you like on a fundamental level just don't like your work, then maybe art isn't for you, right? Or maybe it could just be a hobby or something, or like maybe you like there's a lot of people who admire art, right, and aren't necessarily really good at it, right? And you might be one of those, right? Because there's a lot of people who admire art, they like it, they're not good at it, but like and in trying to get good at it, they lose the enjoyment, right? And we don't want that, right? But for those of you who are artists, who do really care about your work, I would say that in most cases you need to just be less, don't be so hard on yourself. You know what I mean? Don't be so hard on your work, because like at the end of the day, like your artwork is like, I feel like you should view it kind of like your child. You know what I mean? Like it came from you, it spawned from you. To hate it is to hate a part of yourself. You know what I mean? At least if your work is honest. And even if it isn't, like it's still, you care about it, right? And like, just understand that like you're not gonna be good right away. You know what I mean? You're not going to be like 100% there, right? It's going to be, taking little steps, step, right? That's the way we progress on this artist journey. It's just, one foot in front of the other, right? You don't want to be like, hey, dude, like, I'm here, but I want to be over there. You know what I mean? Like way in the distance, like, it's like you realize that whoever you're comparing yourself to had to walk the same amount as you did. You know what I mean? And some people are better, some people are worse, and like some like it may take longer, but that shouldn't take away from enjoying the journey. You get what I'm saying, right? Like some people are really focused on the destination instead of just like, hey, enjoying the trip, right? And that's part of what this is. You know what I mean? Enjoying your way to getting to that level, right? And then like maybe pushing past that. But at the end of the day, you should really like factor in the enjoyment of your work, right? And if you're not enjoying it because of like maybe like subject matter or like you're getting tired of it, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you've been doing the same thing over and over again. Like just change it up, you know what I mean? Change it up, challenge yourself, you know what I mean? To do something new, right? If you just stay stagnant, right, that's where like the kind of like oh, I'm kind of getting boring, right? If you're getting bored of your own work, that's a little bit more of a different thing than like just straight up not enjoying it, right? But yeah, you should enjoy your work, right? I enjoy my work, right? Like, cause like, and I understand that, like, hey, dude, I'm not fucking Rembrandt, right? But I'm not bad either, you know what I mean? And I enjoy the work for what it is, right? And of course, you like, naturally, you're gonna have like comparisons to whoever or whatever, but enjoying your work it should be like a very simple thing. You know what I mean? It should be like don't think about it too hard. Like just like, oh, do you like it? It's like, yeah, I like it. You know, and it's like, you know, like, oh, I like this part of it about it, or I like that part about it. Like just kind of look at your work and look at it like that. You know what I mean? And you'll start finding like, instead of finding reasons to not like your work, you should find reasons to enjoy your work, right? And like, sometimes what I like to do is to, you know, like let's say you have like a set of like finished, you know, pieces or whatever, or like work throughout your history, right? And you just line it up. You know what I mean? Just put it all together and just look at like, wow, like, you know, you've improved so much. You know what I mean, right? Like your first drawing is like ooh, like, look at that, dude. And then you, as you progress, you're like, oh, it's getting better, right? So it's like taking time to look at your work history, your body of work, will allow you to be like, oh yeah, well, I'm progressing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like worse than I was. You know what I mean? And like most of the time, it's people obsessing over skill, right? Over like expression, right? And I think that expression is much more important, right? Skill will come with time, you know, and practice, right? So for those of you who don't really like your work, right? I'd say like don't focus too much on the skill, right? Or comparisons. You know what I mean? Focus on your own progress, and you will see that your work is getting better, right? And then like that will usually like get you going. You know what I mean? And sometimes you don't need to like the entire thing. You know what I mean? You could just like, oh, I like this little spot right here. You know, I think I did that really well, right? And you know, there's another aspect, which is like showing your work to other people, right? And like seeing if they enjoy it, right? Some people they'll enjoy it, some people they won't. It depends on who it is, right? And their tastes, you know. But I think in most cases, right, people who like aren't artistic at all, they'll look at your work and they'll be like, whoa, how do you do that? Like I can, and they'll say the usual, like I can't draw a stick figure, or like I can't even imagine doing something like that. You know, it's the standard. But you know, it that positive feedback will make you feel better about your work. You know what I mean? And vice versa, right? If you like something, and then like someone's like, oh, I don't really like the way this is, you know, that could have a negative like effect on your work. And you like, because you know, art is very emotional, very personal, right? So it's like if someone like is like, oh, I don't like it, you're like, oh, you feel like it, like kind of like an insecurity, right, with your own work. You're like, oh, is it good? Like is my taste, you know, horrible, right? And usually no, that's not the case, right? It's just maybe they're like nitpicky, or they're like, oh, I don't like this little thing that's like kind of irrelevant. You know, you shouldn't take it too much to heart. You know what I mean? But like enjoyment of your work, I think, is probably the thing that keeps people going. The love of the craft, okay? And I feel like there's a lot of people who, like, you know, I've seen, who like just don't like their work, right? They don't like what they're producing. They don't like the results they're getting, and like they kind of have like a negative view on art, right? Despite being artists, despite being like doing the thing that you supposedly love, you know what I mean, right? And a lot of those people, like, okay, so I'm talking right now. I'm talking to the people who are like in art school, right? Who have become like disenfranchised with their artwork, right? Or like they look at it in a very like jaded way, right? And I'm like, that I think that's wrong. Okay, I think that art and creation at the very basis should be a very like explorative, introspective kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like you're going inwards. You know, you're into the canvas, right, to find yourself. You know what I mean? Find parts of yourself, right? And maybe, you know, it doesn't even need to be that complicated either. It could just be like, hey, dude, you know, I made a pretty picture, and people like, you know, and I like, you know, it make me happy, right? And like that should be as far as it goes. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't have to like stay right there, but like just in terms of baseline enjoyment, like that should be it. You know, like, hey, I made a thing and I like it, right? I showed it to other people and they liked it, right? And that made me happy, right? It's very simple, right? A lot of people, they'll I'm guilty of this myself, right? They'll think about like the wider art world, you know what I mean, right? Like, oh, like this artist and then this artist and then like oh, the overall taste, you know what I mean? Like oh, what's trending right now? What's like, hey, what's hot right now, you know? Like, and like I feel like those things can ruin your enjoyment, right? Because then now you're adding like people's judgment, you know, or like people's trends, you know, and like, hey, why isn't my thing that popular, or why isn't my thing like, you know, like why isn't that like kicking off when this artist is, you know, it's like it's adding a lot of external factors to allow for your enjoyment of your work, right? Like I don't like this piece until it gets like 2,000 likes or some shit, right? And like that's not how it should be, right? Obviously, right? But people, they get caught up in that, right? You know, like I've gotten caught up in that, you know, myself, and it's hard, you know what I mean? It's hard to like because that's the competition right now. That's the big thing right now, you know what I mean? Like hey, how do I get my, like, because like it's very important to get your work out there and like getting people to enjoy your work, you know what I mean? And like having all those followers, right? But like, you know, then you're not thinking about your own enjoyment, right? Then you think about like, hey, what's the next thing, you know? Like what do I make for somebody else, you know? What do I make for them, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, your artwork should be made like, you know, for you and like your own enjoyment, right? And of course for the enjoyment of like whoever, right? Like let's say you're making a piece for somebody else, you know, like you want them to enjoy it, right? But it should be like a very like personal exchange, you know what I mean? Like of course, you know, you have like the people who enjoy your work like all over the place, or like you have like a couple followers, or like you know, maybe hundreds of thousands of followers, right? But like that shouldn't take away from your own enjoyment, right? And if it does, identify it, right? Like you know, if you're someone who cranks out work all the time, right, and is like oh, I'm always making something, always doing something, I'm always busy, you know what I mean? Like it's I'm burning myself out, right? Then like take a break, dude. You know what I mean? Like, hey, calm the fuck down, right? Take a break, take a breather, right? And then like, okay, like reprogram yourself. Like, okay, like how do I do this sustainably, right? Some people, they like to overwork themselves, right? And like, you know, that's not a good thing either, because you could easily start like dreading the work, right? And so it's all just like balancing, you know what I mean? It's all just balancing this you know, thing that you have, you know what I mean? This gift, you know what I mean? And it is a gift, you know what I mean? And some like, you know, it's a gift and a curse, right? But like that's just with everything. There's the, like when you have something, there's the good aspects of it, there's the bad aspects of it, right? You gotta like learn to appreciate the good aspects, right? Learn how to deal with and manage the bad aspects, right? And like, you know, some people think like, oh dude, I'm gonna hate my work forever, right? And it's like, that's not true, right? That's not true. You'll hit like a breaking point where you're like, oh, look, that looks good, dude. Of like objectively, that looks good. You know what I mean? Like you'll make work where you're like, well, if someone doesn't like that, like, then like I don't even know what to say to you. You know what I mean? Like, cause like you've built the skill, you've built the foundation, you got it, you got everything like technically good, right? You put in the heart, right? And like some people, they're just not gonna like it. You know, they're just be like, oh dude, that's cringe, dude. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you made this, like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like who cares about them? You know what I mean? Right? You're looking for people who care about your work, right? And you're like they're like, oh wow, I like this, you know, I like, and like, you know, and then you'll start noticing things that you might excel at, right? And you're like, well, I'm really like I suck at like anatomy and this and that, but like I'm really good at like color, you know what I mean? Right? And then like you just enjoy that one aspect, and while working on the other aspects of your work, you know what I mean? So it's a complex thing, right? It's a especially nowadays, right? With all like the like you know, all the extra like online bullshit, like, oh, they go like this, like that, whatever, you know. right? Trends, this and that, you know. But like it's all like, in a way, that's always been the case. You know what I mean, right? Like you know, they had trends in the 1800s too. You know what I mean? They had like the art critics of, you know what I mean, right? So like, it's just now we're really focused on that. You know what I mean? We're in that like digital age. You know what I mean? So don't focus too much on like external enjoyment. You know, like external requirements for enjoyment, right? You should just enjoy your work. You know what I mean? And like enjoy the progress. You know what I mean? It's not about being the best. It's about getting better, right? It's not like here's something that I like to think about, right? Where it's like, you know, like in terms of like the end goal, right? The end goal, right? Like there's a lot of artists who aren't that good, right? And like are really popular, right? And there's people who are really good who aren't very popular, right? And all of that is like external, right? Of course, like, you know, there's people who could like, you know, like, oh, you just need to market yourself more, this or that, right? But like that's all just, that's outside, you know, that's outside, you know what I mean? Inside, right? That's all you, that's all art, you know, like that's where it comes from, right? That's where the art emerges from the chaos, you know what I mean? It's you know what I mean? So focus more on that. Focus more on the internal. Like, hey, what do I want to say? What kind of work do I want to make? You know what I mean? Right? And like I was saying earlier, like something I like to say is like the goal isn't to be a great painter, right? It is to paint greatly, right? And what does that mean? What does that exactly mean, right? It means like you shouldn't focus on the status of like how you are viewed as an artist, right? You shouldn't view yourself like, you shouldn't view the status. You should worry about how well are you doing it, right? And like, of course, like this, like maybe the status will come or the status won't come. You know what I mean? Like that's not up to you. You know what I mean? Right? All you can do is just like post it and like, hey, I hope maybe you'll get lucky. You know what I mean? Right? Or maybe like someone, like a lot of people will resonate with it. You know, maybe it takes a lot of time, right? Some people hit the gold mine early, right? But like sometimes that could be devastating because they're like, oh, we only like this particular type of work, and so like you can't really change. You know what I mean? So sometimes not having a big following is kind of freeing. So you could just like kind of open and explore, right? And enjoy it for yourself. You know what I mean? Right? But understand that like, you know, you should enjoy it. You really should. You know what I mean? And if you don't, take a second, look around. You know, I'm not gonna say like you could just flip the switch and like, oh, now I love my work, right? But it's like take another look. You know what I mean? To give it a second, reflect, and you're like, well, and like maybe look at your previous two pieces. You know what I mean? It's like you know, like, hey, dude, this one was worse than this one, right? And that means that I'm making progress, right? And like in that you could have an enjoyment. You know what I mean? Right? And focus less on the comparison, right? And focus on the comparison of like yourself. You know what I mean? Like myself yesterday versus myself today, right? And then understand like, well, you could see the progress, right? And it's like, well, if this progress continues, then I'm gonna be better later. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna keep getting better, right? And then you can have like an almost like comfort in that, right? So all I gotta say is, if you don't enjoy your work, try to find a way to. You know what I mean? Experiment, explore, right? Change it up. Maybe you're just stiff. Maybe you're just like, hey, I'm stagnant. I need to change things up. I need to mix it up. You know what I mean? Right? Maybe I'm just jaded towards my work now. You know? Or maybe I'm like, hey, I'm just worrying about too many external factors to enjoy my work, right? When at the end of the day, the enjoyment of the work should be between the artist and the art, right? That's like at the base of it. But yeah, I think we could end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Prince and Patreon if you want to support the channel. Ring that bell for notification. Leave a comment, tell me how you guys feel about your own work and your enjoyment of it, right? All that bullshit. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.